Yeah, hip hop lift, San Francisco, California.
In urban centres across the globe, there's a new ride in town.
LYFT, fist bump if you wanna ride with me. Swipe, I bet you wanna ride with me now. Swipe, I bet you wanna ride with me now. Oh yeah.
Deco, aka Hip Hop Lift, isn't your average cabbie. He's one of a growing number of car owners, turning their set of wheels into a money spinner. The essential tool is a smartphone app so efficient.
How you doing, my friend?
Customers can summon a car in seconds. The meteoric rise of ride-hailing apps around the world is one part of a global transport revolution.
If you go into any major metropolitan area, car ownership is down pretty substantially, and we talk a lot about how riding is the new driving.
Our changing attitudes towards driving are pressing car makers to embrace a future that's less about horsepower and more about processing power.
You just have that perfect storm of all these different technologies coming together in one place.
Across the world, old industries are facing disruption on an unprecedented scale.
People are not taking our taxis.
Confronted by ever-changing technology, the pressure to adapt has never been greater.
It is always survival of the fittest. That's capitalism.
Because where there's threat,
Oh yeah.
there's also opportunity. Bangalore, India, one of the fastest growing ride-hailing markets in the world.
Go to settings.
Shantam joined Ola Cabs 3 years ago to become one of Bangalore's first female auto rickshaw drivers. With her job, she's challenging attitudes in this traditional city.
ಆಮೇಲೆ ಏನು ಹೇಳಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಡು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ನಾನು ಬಿಡಲ್ಲ. ಓಲಾ ಬಂದ ಮೇಲೆ ಬರೋಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂಚೆ ಯಾವುದೋ ಬಾಡಿಗೆಗೆ ತುಂಬ ಕಷ್ಟ ಬೀಳಬೇಕಾಯ್ತು ಬಾಡಿಗೆಗೆ. ನನ್ನ ಶಕ್ತಿ ಯಾವಾಗ ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆಯೋ ಅಷ್ಟಿಗೆ ನಾನೇ ಓಲಾನಲ್ಲಿ ಓಡಿಸ್ತೀನಿ, ಆಟೋ ಡ್ರೈವ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಖುಷಿ ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಬಂದು ಕೂತ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋ ಮೇಡಮ್ ನೀವು ಲೇಡೀಸು ತುಂಬ ಖುಷಿಯಾಗಿದೆ. ಹಂಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟೇ 10 ರೂಪಾಯಿ 20 ರೂಪಾಯಿ 30 100 ರೂಪಾಯಿನೂ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. ವೆರಿ ಲೈಕ್.
Ola is India's most popular on-demand ride service, with 1 million booking requests every day for 350,000 vehicles, including rickshaws. Founded just 5 years ago, the company is now valued at $5 billion.
Ola is not just a cab company. Our mission and our vision and the opportunity for us is to build mobility for 1 billion Indians, for the future. We are a technology company. We don't own a single cab. We operate a marketplace where we aggregate the supply, we aggregate the demand, and we connect them in the most efficient way possible.
Ola's app connects drivers and their vehicles with customers needing a ride. Just 2% of Indians own their own vehicle, but by 2017, 20% of the country's 1.25 billion population will own a smartphone.
The market potential is huge. There are around 200 million motorized trips a day in urban India. There's a long way to go for us. Our mission is to add value in each of those trips.
But one group isn't along for the ride. Local cabbies.
हमारे को बहुत घाटा है ओला उबर से, वो ओला उबर जानी चाहिए. हम 15 रुपये किलोमीटर 16 रुपये किलोमीटर लेते हैं हमारा गवर्नमेंट का जो रेट है, पर उसमें भी हमारे खर्चे पूरे नहीं हो रहे. तो ये 7 रुपये किलोमीटर वाले कैसे खर्चे पूरे करते होंगे?
बस बंद होनी चाहिए अगर हो तो.
As in other countries, the licensed taxi drivers are unhappy the ride-hailing apps are undercutting their fares.
We are totally angry with this company. और ये अपनी तरफ से कुछ पैसा अपनी तरफ से दे रहे हैं और मार्केट में रेट जो है बहुत कम रेट पे दे रहे हैं. इस वक्त नुकसान हो रहा है बहुत ज़्यादा. हमारे गाड़ियाँ खड़ी हुई हैं, ड्राइवर छोड़ के चले गए, किस्तें नहीं दी जा रही. तो हम लोगों को बहुत रोष है, दुख है, लेकिन जाएं कहाँ हम लोग.
Now, the struggling taxi drivers themselves are being courted by Ola.
They feel that they're losing business. The great thing is that they can also come onto our platform. It's not as if we are leaving them out. We are saying we'll work with everybody.
Ola's drive to expand is partly to keep up with the meteoric rise of international competitors like Uber. Ola's formed a global partnership with Asia's biggest ride-hailing services and rising American star, Lyft, a company that distinguishes itself by its trademark pink moustache. The deal will enable these companies' riders to seamlessly use each other's apps when abroad. David Rust is Lyft's head of strategic operations.
That's all happened going from San Francisco to covering half the world's population in just about 4 years. We have over 700 people working here. We have other offices in Nashville and Seattle as well. A big part of our brand is how to have fun while getting from point A to point B, and we wanted that to greet you right when you come in the office.
Uber may be better known, but Lyft claims to be the fastest growing ride-hailing app in the US. Last year alone, its number of rides and revenue increased 5-fold. For David Rust, this uptake is impacting what was once viewed a fundamental rite of passage, buying your first car.
For the younger generation, it's a whole different ballgame, because envision that you grow up owning a smartphone from a very young age, and you grow up being able to request a ride from a young age. So now when you hit, age 16, age 18, when, individuals here in the United States, normally would get a car and that's the sign of freedom, and then you drive to high school and it's a big event. Now you can just request a Lyft, and that's how many kids are growing up this day and age. And it totally changes that paradigm of freedom being driving to freedom being riding.
A University of Michigan study has revealed a marked decline in the number of new drivers in America over the past 3 decades. It found the percentage of 20 to 24-year-olds with driving licenses fell from 92% to 77%. Among 18-year-olds, there was an even bigger drop of 20%.
They don't want the hassle of owning a car, maintaining a car, buying insurance for the car, parking the car, for it to sit idle 96% of the time. What a passenger wants is to get from point A to point B at an affordable rate and an enjoyable way. And when you build that experience, it is going to disrupt the industry, because that means you're not owning a car.
It's a vision that should strike fear into the heart of the auto industry. Ford is the second largest car manufacturer in the US and has relied on selling vehicles for well over a century. Although Ford's boss grew up in this era of unquestioned car ownership, he's aware it might not continue forever.
The first day I was able to go down to the Department of Motor Vehicles to get my license, I did. Because at the time, having a vehicle meant freedom and for me to connect with my friends. Fast forward to today, you have young people that have all these enabling technologies, whether it's their smartphones and their iChatting, or they're playing online their video games, or they're texting, or whatever. That particular need of a vehicle has somewhat diminished.
Ford has just reported its best annual sales performance in a decade. While it seems unlikely the company would turn its back on a winning formula, Ford insists it's preparing for a future where sales are no longer driven by the latest model.
We are fundamentally rethinking our whole product development. Traditionally in our industry, it's been about producing the product, the thing. Now we are very much thinking, what experience do we want to provide the customer?
It's pushing the company into unexpected areas. Ford's Go Drive Hire service is one pilot scheme encouraging people to share its vehicles, while Ford shuttle buses are trialing rides on demand. The company's even experimenting with electric bikes. All, it claims, in an effort to become less reliant on the traditional business model of a big one-off purchase.
We're looking at some of these new enabling technologies. There's a huge opportunity. So things that we're seeing around mobility, around connectivity or vehicles as they become part of the Internet of Things. It's really important for us to look at societal trends because it's about having one foot in today, but also one foot in tomorrow and understanding what is that world going to look like 5, 10, and 15 years from now.
Since the 1950s, Ford and its competitors have tried to anticipate what will appeal to the car users of tomorrow.
We're all set for auto control.
And the idea that cars can be about the joy of the ride is nothing new.
Ah, this is the life. Safe, cool, comfortable. Mind if I smoke a cigar?
Oh, not with this wonderful air conditioning.
But the auto manufacturers aren't the only ones vying for the passengers of the future. Silicon Valley, the global hub of technology. It may be 2,500 miles from Detroit, but it's here where a modern-day fight for the soul of the motor car is playing out. The latest threat to the car industry comes from tech giants like Google, who believe they have the expertise to deliver the driverless car. Ford's response? To pitch up on their doorstep.
We want to participate in that community. We want to collaborate with that community. But importantly, we want to be viewed as part of the community and not just some transactional partner that flies in and, buys a technology or something like that.
Ford's new research center is the company's latest attempt to protect its legacy. Here, they're determined to avoid a future where Ford cars are just the shell for another company's technology.
He's training the network. He's evaluating how well the network is learned.
So they're building the tech themselves, determined that car makers will be the ones to bring the driverless car to market.
Each of these have 32 laser beams in them, and every single one of those is collecting information based on the path of flight between when the laser fires out and when it comes back. We have 2 antennae here, one in the front and one in the rear, and because we know the distance between them, we can actually figure out both with high level precision where the vehicle is as well as the direction the vehicle is pointed. There are no blind spots with the way these sensors are set up, so that allows us to see the entire environment at all times in 3 dimensions.
Enabling a car to see its surroundings is one challenge. Identifying humans over inanimate objects is another. Perfecting this software is one of the hardest tasks facing any company trying to create a safe driverless car, let alone a car company playing catch-up.
You can see all of the blue boxes that are showing up around the people. So you can see it's only grabbing people in this frame, it's not grabbing the furniture in the room. So basically the way this machine learning algorithm works is it sort of teaches itself much the way a human learns to detect different objects and starts to recognize patterns. So if you put this onto a car, when you're driving down the road, your vehicle can tell the difference between like a fire hydrant or a trash can and a human that might be running out into the road. Until very recently, this was impossible to run in real time. As you can see, if I step out of the frame, the moment I step into it, I'm boxed in less than a second. So that kind of quick response time to where the system can immediately detect that this is a human and I need to avoid this at all costs, that information is really important for driving in the city.
Ford isn't the only car maker taking on the software giants. Mercedes, Nissan, and others are all developing their own driverless cars. But they'll still have to face the possibility that the general public might not want to own them, preferring the flexibility of ride-hailing someone else's vehicle.
How you doing, my friend?
All right.
All right, all right. I created a hip-hop trivia game that I actually play with my passengers.
I'll give it my best shot.
Okay, well, my question for you is this. How much money in debt is Kanye West supposedly in right now?
58 million?
I'm gonna give it to you anyway, because you're close, you're definitely up there, and it's actually 53 million.
Car makers are trying to answer another question: how to find customers and generate revenue in the long term. And car-hailing app Lyft could provide one of the answers. In 2016, US giant General Motors invested $500 million in this 4-year-old startup. It's a groundbreaking deal to combine forces and develop a fleet of shared driverless cars.
You take the hardware and manufacturing operations of General Motors and you pair that with the network and system and almost operating system capabilities of Lyft, and it's really a step towards what the future looks like.
As software becomes an ever more important factor in how we get around, and the commercial benefits of getting a share of the ride become more apparent, it's clear today's car makers will do whatever it takes to stay in the driving seat.
When you look at the revenue that people are spending on moving around, whether it's mass transit or Uber or motorcycles or whatever, put aside planes, that revenue, that's about $5.5 to $6 trillion. We get 0% of that. We're looking at that as a huge opportunity